the Löw Tide Böyz, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 80 of the show. This week's show will hopefully leave you saying Snyggt. That means nice in Swedish.
Nice.
Just learned that the other day. In this show, we will be demystifying one of the most mystifying aspects of swimrun to non-swimmers and swimrunners alike, the tether. We're going to break it all down for you, and by the end, hopefully convince you why you will want to race with the tether at your next swimrun event. Welcome to Swimrun 101, the tether.
Clip on.
What?
Clip on.
Clip in.
Clip in.
Clip in. Clip on.
Clip on. Clip on our
things. Strap in.
Strap in?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. But first,
training updates. So, Casco Bay is right around the corner here. This weekend, we had another course race simulation practice, and we're feeling the itch to get out and race. So we did the second half of the Odyssey Swimrun Casco Bay course, which is coincidentally the short course distance. We had a good time, 3 hours, 3 solid hours of zone 2-ish endurance. Felt really solid.
Felt pretty good. And actually, I tried something new that I hadn't done. This was a pro tip from, I can't remember if it was George or Pontus or both.
Both.
So let's just say it's G&P.
G&P.
I actually practiced with a race bib on, so I could practice like having to lift it up, deal with fiddling with it, and like unzipping underneath and all that stuff.
Plus, you look way more pro out there.
I mean, I felt like,
helpful.
I don't know how pro I was looking, to be honest. I
more
think,
pro than any other swim
I think people
runners.
already look at you like you're crazy, and it's like, oh, this dude's doing his own solo race out here. Like, what's going on? But it was good to practice just to kind of get used to everything, all the little different moving pieces. So
absolutely. We also, on our training update, we saw another swim runner.
We did.
So if you were swim running Saturday,
you had a
at Aquatic Park,
had a Blue 70 Alliance swimrun wetsuit and
our keel.
A keel.
Yeah, keel buoy. We would reach out. We want to say hi. Additionally, I was walking in my neighborhood today, and I saw a group of 3 people running by. And no joke, they were wearing regular running outfit. One person had a pull buoy strapped to his leg and was just running around with this pull buoy. And I just shouted, "Hey, are you swim running?" And he never turned around. So if that was you running in Nevada, maybe it was the same person. I don't know what's happening. We've seen double the amount of swim runners.
It's all happening.
It's all happening. So on to this week's shout-outs.
Yeah, so this week we're shouting out our newest patron on Patreon, Hugh B. As ever, we really appreciate when folks support the show in this way, and it really helps us keep the lights on here at Studio G, help fund our sticker giveaway obsession, coaster giveaway obsession, all that stuff. So you're awesome, Hugh. We really, really appreciate you helping us out.
Totally. And now on to this week's feats of endurance. So we had quite a tough week. There's lots of races going on, but there was one feat that stood out to us that rose to the top, and that is our friend Tom from the Netherlands. Tom raced Trail des Six Cols, 45K trail race, mountain trail race in France over the weekend. So he lives in the Netherlands, which is pancake flat country. Yeah. But the race had 11,000 feet of climbing.
I don't even know how you practice for that in the Netherlands.
I had intel about Tom's training plan.
Oh, that's right. There is some intel.
And he would go to...
This is an exclusive,
This is an exclusive. Löw Tide Böyz exclusive. Only for Tom's training.
I don't even know if Tom listens to the show.
I don't know if he does either, but he will after this one. And he goes to staircases, and he just does either the Stairmaster, or he goes and just runs up and down stairs all day to get the vert that he needs. So way to be, Tom. Major kudos to you, and join up with those crazy Dutch swim runners that dominated the big battle there. If you're looking to get some kudos, head on over to the Löw Tide Böyz Strava Club. Join up with fellow swim runners from all around the world as they train for races and life in general.
Yeah, just whatever they're doing.
Head on over there, drop some kudos, get some kudos, pop in the community, say hi. Now for this week in Swimrun, powered by RaceID.com.
Well, it's been a good week in swimmer news, Chipper. There's no bummers that we were able to divine from
it's a win.
From the internet. Attila Engadin took place over the weekend, and it looked epic as ever. Congrats to everyone that raced, and a special shout out to Desiree and her partner Victor for winning the mixed division and also coming in third overall, which is pretty impressive. And a bonus shout out to friend of the show Oscar Olsen and his partner Adriel Young for finishing second overall, and then doing a bunch of interviews for LiveSportTV.se after the race. This race, if I can speak for Chipper, is second on our bucket list. I think just behind Attila Uta, since that's like, ground zero for swim running. And we were experiencing major FOMO, and I'm already dropping major hints.
Looking for your passport?
I know where it is, and it's current. So I'm already dropping major hints that we need to go to Silvaplana with my family next year. So anyway, we don't need to discuss this here. Anyway, Swimrun Madrid by Head happened over the weekend in Pelayos de la Presa in Spain. They had over 300 swimrunners in attendance, which, at least according to their website, that's pretty awesome. And they had a sprint distance that was 10K and a half distance that was 19K. And yeah, both courses looked really fun. It looked like a really, cool area to be swim running in the lakes over there. Over in the UK, Brecca Coniston and Mad Hatter Sports' Hokey Koki Rosalind Swim Run took place, and both events looked like a success. Shout out to friends of the show, Ian Shaw and Sarah King, who raced Coniston, and Bill and Christina Langford, who won the mixed division at Roseland.
Whoa.
Awesome. Strong work all around. It's great to see that. In more UK news, our friends at As Keen as Mustard events are back to their back-to-back event posting escapades with the Manvers Lake Swim Run that happened last weekend. And then this weekend coming up is the Long Eaton Swim Run that's happening in Nottingham. And we expect to see some clever Robin Hood-themed team names for that one.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Like the Sheriff and Little John.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Little John. Is John Littlewood? The Sheriff and John Littlewood.
John Littlewood should be there for sure.
Okay.
Bonus shout out to
John Littlewood. Here in the U.S., swimrun season is about to kick into major overdrive with 5 Odyssey swimrun events starting with Casco Bay on August 8th. Use the code Löw Tide 15 to save 50% on registration on any 2021 Odyssey event. Swimrun North Carolina is happening on November 7th, and that's a Attila Merit race. And then fittingly, closing out the year with Attila Catalina on November 20th. So we're going to be at a bunch of those races, and yeah, it's going to be fun to start reporting on some US stuff, if you know what I mean. I'm looking forward to it.
So that's it for this week. Feel free to email us to tip us off of any events or swimrun news you'd like for us to share on the show.
Yes. So on to updates. So if you're going to be in Portland, Maine on August 8th, hopefully you're doing the Casco-based Odyssey Swimrun event. But if you are or you aren't, you're welcome to join us at the inaugural Löw Tide Böyz post-race after party, co-hosted by Odyssey Swimrun at Lone Pine Brewery.
By the way, Odyssey doesn't know they're co-hosting. We just kind of volunteered.
Okay.
Them.
So
I'm sure it's cool, though.
It's cool. And Lars is going to pay for everything. That's a joke. That was a joke, people. We haven't confirmed. We're going to strongly suggest it to him. That's also a joke. We'll be there at 5:30 p.m. until they close around 8. So mark your calendars and see you there. Additionally, only one person discovered the soft launched product in the Löw Tide Böyz shop. And I wasn't surprised by who purchased it.
I definitely wasn't surprised.
But check that out if you're interested. Throw an eyeball on that.
Yeah. We're going to make an official announcement soon. I've gotten shipping confirmation.
Ooh, I'm excited.
I was going to tell Chipper earlier, but I thought it'd be fun to say it on air.
I'm excited. Now, for the main event, Swimrun 101, the Tether.
Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of feedback from folks asking us to do an episode on the Tether, including, Greg, who mentioned it in our Untethered Thoughts segment of Gear Talk. And we thought that'd be a good idea to break down the what, the why, and the how of the Swimrun Tether and make our case as to why you should be essentially going to your local paracord, shock cord, carabiner distributor,
supply store,
also aka Amazon, and DIYing one of these for your next race. Incidentally, we also wrote an article last year for Triathlete Magazine about the Tether, so you want to check that out. There's also a video on YouTube where you can
learn all about it.
Yeah, get it all in sort of video form, I guess,
for your visual learners.
Yeah. So Chipper, what the hell is a Tether?
Well, Good thing you asked, Chris. The tether is also known as a tow line. So the Uttila race standard says they recommend around 3 meters, which is about roughly 10 feet for us U.S. folks, of cord or whatever to connect your swimrun teams together to stay in contact throughout the race on water and land. So most swimrun events typically state the team must stay within 10 feet of each other at all times for safety. So the tether is a natural complement to this rule.
Yeah, and so the genesis of the tether, we've got some conflicting accounts from the movie All the Way. It looks like Daniel Hansen came up with the idea of actually using a tether, but previous guests of the show and legendary swimrunner himself, Jonas Kolting, said it was essentially just to keep the team safe in contact during the original Uttila race, which, back in the day, it was taking people like 18 hours to finish. So while they aren't mandatory at every race, as you will hear, it's a definite advantage. If I can be so bold, I actually think it's a definite advantage if teams use one.
For sure. So why is the tether a thing? Well, like Chris just mentioned, there is some tactical advantages to kind of using the tether, and we've talked about that a little bit in our Swimrun Flow episode. I think one thing that we really enjoy about swim running with the tether is the way it gives us the ability to stay in contact and get that kind of real-time feedback during the race. So when we're out there racing and we're on the runs, Chris is usually leading those. And without him having to turn around and break his concentration on the pace or thinking about nutrition or
ask questions,
heads up racing, ask questions. What? I can't hear you. My earplugs are in. All these things are happening during the race. He knows how far away from him I am just by the tautness of the tether. It's stretched
it's like real-time haptic feedback where any changes in pace, you kind of figure it out right away. Obviously in the water, the tether makes a lot of sense. It allows you to draft. Drafting in the water is pretty well understood, and in longer swim runs, sort of recovering behind a lead swimmer can help keep everyone fresh, which can pay off later in the race if it's a super long race. Teams can have different strategies, obviously. Like I would love to just draft behind Chipper an entire race, but that's not what's in the cards for me, so we'll switch off. Some teams switch even like during swims or, in the middle or like every 50 strokes they'll switch. Or they'll switch
leg
once,
by leg
by leg. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to skin that cat. But the idea is, helps you stay in contact, helps you stay. There's a safety thing of making sure knowing where your partner is, especially in open water where it could be, pretty open, pretty wild out there.
Yeah. It also is good for kind of siding. If you have someone that's a stronger sider swimming off the front, and the person on the back of the tether that is sort of getting the drafting benefits, you don't have to worry about that. You can concentrate on either keeping your pace up or staying on the feet, and it's kind of one less thing that you have to worry about. So it is a nice little mental break.
And I think we would make a strong recommendation after our N of 1 at Swimrun Austin last year of keeping the tether on at all times. So not having a mess with taking it off and wrapping it up and doing all this stuff that can add time, clipping, unclipping, wrapping the cord, after every swim and there's just a lot of little moving pieces that if you just leave it on, you don't have to worry about it. And typically you should only take the tether off if there's like a cliff jump or the terrain is just so ridiculous that the tether is going to be getting caught on stuff.
Yeah.
Or if it's like a ridiculously long run and you actually want to run next to your partner and not just be tripping over each other the whole time. But for the most part, leaving it on makes a ton of sense because like Chipper mentioned, there is sort of the haptic feedback that you get while you're running, but it can actually help the other partner if, let's say I'm having a bad day and there's a big hill, We heard this from the Swimrun monks way back, like episode 5 or something, where it's like, I was having a bad day, so Sean or Philip, I don't remember which one, basically just pulled the other person through.
Definitely.
So that stuff I think can be really helpful, and
we actually kept, when we were running a little bit closer to proximity to each other, that the tether would have had slack in it. I just kind of balled it up in my hand or like folded it over, and I was just kind of holding it like you would a paddle or anything in your hand, and kind of, okay, now we only have 2 feet between us and we can run close, and I had full range of movement. So that helped us from unclipping and doing all that. I am the one who quarterbacks the tether usually, and I will, it is it is a hassle to have to worry about where's this going to go. It's an extra little thing of to remember, when you're transitioning into a swim or out of a swim, okay, goggles down, paddles, and my suit zipped up, tether. Okay, you got to figure out where to put that. So if you are going to be taking it on and off and using it a lot and not keeping it on the whole time, you do need to think about where you're going to put that into your transition.
Wrap it around your waist,
transition.
or stuff it in your undershirt, or if you're wearing one or whatever.
Yeah, so you could put it across your shoulders like some sort of seatbelt kind of situation, or there's a million of them. If anyone has a good one, I would love to love to see where you're storing it.
Right,
storing it there. So, okay, I'm sold on the tether, Chris. Where do we go? Tether, swimruntethers.com?
Yeah, swimruntethers.com. I mean, you probably could go there, but you're going to get ripped off. So the majority of teams that we know of have DIY'd their own tethers, and we recommend using some sort of quick release carabiner in each end just to, for quick releasing, obviously. You can buy them pre-made. And as I mentioned, they're usually overpriced. Like, for example, Orca has one that comes with the tether and stuff and 2 belts, and it's like $60. It's just like, geez. So, and also, what's the fun in that? Like, one of the things about swimrun is messing with your own gear and kind of fiddling with stuff. So it's almost a rite of passage to make your own pull buoy and make your
own tether.
Exactly. So the length can vary depending on comfort level, but we recommend just having it be long enough so you can basically draft behind your partner without, jamming into their feet and not having it mess up your stroke. The reason you want it to be the right length is because you don't want to have any slack in the water, because when it's taut, it's easy for the person in the back to maintain a good stroke. Mm-hmm. But when it's kind of like floating around and stuff, with big paddles and stuff, if you're using those, it can get tangled.
Yeah.
And a pro tip there that, we learned on the fly, if the tether's too long in a race and you want to fix it, just unclip and put a knot in the paracord, and that'll eat up 6 or 7 inches right there, and then you can just clip back in and keep going.
Yeah, we've definitely done that too. And again, just like anything, DIY your tether. Then if you have the ability to train or race with your partner, go out and use it. And we found a lot of good practice of doing just these really quick transition practices where we literally go in the water. We swim like 30 strokes with it on, get out and run along the beach, or do a tenth of a mile run. Just keep doing those, and you'll get a quick sense of, is your tether too long? Is it too short? And you can kind of go on the fly there and dial that in.
And you're going to hear that from us a lot. Like, you want to practice with all this stuff. Like, using a tether the first time on race day is just going to be more of a pain in the ass. But there's a couple ways to attach the tether. So once you've made it, you're super happy with yourself. You watched our video on how to make one, and you're super stoked. Teams typically attach it to either some wetsuits have like a little loop in them built in. Like, I know the head suits have this, where you can just clip in right
Blue
there.
70 suits have that as well, I believe.
Exactly. And then or you can just clip it in. This is what Chipper does to his waist pull buoy mount cord. Or you can do what I do, which I actually have like a quote unquote tactical military grade nylon belt that has a loop built into it. It costs like $13 on Amazon, but it allows me to just kind of manage the tether separate from my pull buoy mount, which I like. It's personal preference, and and for these belts, the one I have costs $13 on Amazon. Companies like Orca and Arc Sports also make these types of products, but it's all essentially the same. It's a nylon belt that you can use.
And the reason why Chris sort of keeps it separate from his pull buoy mount is, since it depends on where, if you're swimming or running, if you're being pulled along, if it's attached to the mount that's also holding your pull buoy, that's going to pull up or pull up or down, depending on where you're positioned during the swim leg. So that could either be pulling your pull buoy off you, which you wouldn't want, or it's going to be jamming it up, which you might not feel great either. So Chris's strategy is taking it and decoupling it from that and having it be its own solo thing. And then it's also kind of one less thing to kind of really get caught up and tangled up there. Since I have the lasso style mount, it has basically the same exact cord that I use for the tether is what I use for the mount. So I just clip it on there, and it has kind of free range with the carabiner around my waist, so Chris can swim and fishtail as much as he wants, and there's going to be all sorts of range of motion for him to go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Chipper, since you are the manufacturer of tethers in our household, our Swimrun household, why don't you tell people kind of how do you go about doing that?
Yeah. So be sure to check out the video on this as well on our YouTube channel. But this paracord we have here, which is 6 millimeter or 1/4 inch.
Wait, before you continue, should we do some real talk?
I have to make this video now?
No, yeah. So at the recording of this, we have not made this video, but we're putting it on ourselves to have this video done by the time this show comes out.
That's true.
In a few days. So anyway, back to the show.
Back to the show.
Just had to share that.
Thank you. I thought it was funny. A little peek behind the curtain for everyone.
Yeah, big peek.
Okay, so to make your tether, you want to take your shock cord. So we are using 1/4 inch shock cord, which is also 6 millimeters. The one that we have linked on the show notes, it comes in anywhere from 100 feet to 500 feet. We
probably don't need 500.
Probably don't need 500. We got 100 because we're super extra, and that's how we roll. They have every color you can imagine, but we recommend getting a bright color. Think of something that if you're in the water and you're looking for your partner or where you're supposed to be, a high visibility kind of a green or orange or a red is probably going to be your color.
Something you can instantly tell that's getting tangled on your shit.
Absolutely. So to take that, always measure multiple times, cut once, but I always would start, if you want to make a 3-meter tether, I would probably cut off 4 meters of material. Yeah. And I would start one end being your kind of finished end that you work on. So take your carabiner, tie a knot there. We'll show all this in the video, but whatever knot that you wish to do, one that's going to be sturdy, cut it. Make sure you're kind of burning the ends off there with the little lighter to tidy them up. I've also seen people, we have like 2 excess inches off there. You could tape that up if you want it to be really tidy. And then the best thing to do is actually clip that onto whatever attachment system you're going to use. Lay down. Have your swimmer.
This is with your partner.
With your partner. Have your swimmer partner kind of put the other end of the cable of the cord where they would be. And when you're laying down, simulating how you would be swimming, so hand to toe, essentially, and dial it out there. Then make the same knot on the other end of the carabiner, and you're probably in a pretty good spot to at least start testing it out.
Yep.
It's not super tough to do, but might take a little bit of finagling. You put that on, you go out, do a couple swim runs, and to Chris's point, maybe you want to knot it up. Maybe, I need 6 inches off here, and then you can kind of undo that knot or cut and start over on one end.
Any particular types of carabiners you think people should use?
This is a great time to use those ones that say not safe for climbing that you're getting with all of the free shit that you go when you go to a conference or when you sign up for a new credit card at the mall. They give you like a carabiner on your back.
Yeah, if you have a ton of hand sanitizers at home.
A bunch of hand sanitizers. These are the ones to use for that. We have a couple like more diesel-y ones on there, but they are just heavier and sometimes it could be a little bit more clunky. I would just make sure that the action on the clip part is going to be good and that the clip isn't super big or super small. Because remember, your hands are going to be cold. You might have some dexterity issues, so you don't want this to be this little teeny, carabiner for ants type of thing where you're having a really hard time getting it out, but you also don't need a huge one.
So we've mentioned this before, but as with anything relating to swimrun, you need to experiment in training to see what's going to work best for you. If the paracord is kind of tripping you out, we've seen people use nylon webbing that, like rock climbers and stuff use.
Yeah.
So, there's, again, a bunch of different ways to skin the cat. The nylon webbing won't have as much give to it, so you might not get as much of that haptic feedback. We like the paracord because it's stretchy.
But it's not overly stretchy at all. I think it's a perfect amount of kind of feedback. And, if Chris jumps in the water and takes off swimming and I'm still caught like, I need to put my goggles on still, he's not gonna get thrown, snap back my way. It has enough give in it to make it work.
Definitely. So we talked about, obviously in, when you're running, you want to kind of keep it attached and stuff. When you're swimming, what you really want to think about when you're practicing this is the person in the back is kind of, you want to keep the tether kind of on your midline. And you still want to do a little bit of sighting, but for the most part, you just kind of want to make sure that it's taut in front of you so that it doesn't impede your optimal stroke.
Yeah. Yeah, think of it as the black line in the pool, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's a little 4-6 millimeter piece of paracord.
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't believe us on any of this stuff, all the pros use tethers. It's highly recommended.
And it helps unlock that sense of swimrun flow that we talked about in one of our advanced topics in swimrun. So you can't go wrong. Well, time to tie up this episode, Chris.
So in summary, we can't recommend the tether enough. It was a real game changer for us when we finally stopped taking it off during the runs. And we think that will be the same for other teams as well. And yeah, don't be too scared of it. Just use it. Don't try not to choke yourself or anything like that.
And all the links for all the DIY stuff and the videos and all of the episodes related to this in the show notes. So head on over to lowtideboys.com to check all that out.
Yeah.
And we'll see you out there, tethered together with your teammate.
Yeah.
Better tethered together, some might say.
Yes, some might. 2 people might say that.
2 people might say that. Thank you for listening to the Löw Tide Böyz, a Swimrun podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review on iTunes if you're so inclined.
You can also sign up for a newsletter at lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at the Löw Tide Böyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, drop us an email at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Writing Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swimrun activities, hobbies, and other bullshit we do.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
And then a run.
And then another swim.
Then another run.
And then another swim.
And then run to the finish line. And just keep going until you're done.
Yes, or
until
run
you
to
cross the finish line.
Or run to the car.
Or run to your car.
Somewhere. Just keep running.
Only happiness.